sounds like a double standard, because here we're going to learn that Judah did something that 100% he should surely be put to death for it. He's committed a perversion. What happened, God? Why did you drop the ball? Hey guys, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to. And we've been reading Leviticus, tons of Levitical laws, law after law after law after law. And guess what? I don't mind it. I don't mind a few laws, as long as they're not all the same law. Okay, some of them are repeated laws, but we get some new laws and we can go, ooh, what does that mean? Is this a good law? Is this something that all good, all knowing, all loving, all just God would come up with? Or a bunch of people that don't realize that they shouldn't be treating other people that way? You know, do these laws reflect the ideas that Christians have about Yahweh or Jesus or any of those things? And we learned a lot in the last chapter. If you want to go back and watch it, if you haven't watched it, then you can go back and watch it. For now, we are moving on to Leviticus chapter 20, which after this, we only have 13 more chapters, I believe, and we're done this book. Thank God, good riddance. But we're going to get right into Leviticus chapter 20 now. Please, if you haven't, subscribe. Please join the club, like this video, and while you're watching, and please do watch to the end, because you will never believe what happens in verse 27. The chapter ends. Okay, spoiler alert, the chapter ends. Leave me a comment sometime during the video. That would be really, really great. With that being said, Leviticus chapter 20. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Moreover, you shall tell the children of Israel, any one of the children of Israel or of the strangers who live as foreigners in Israel, who gives any of his offspring to Molech, shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone that person with stones. I also will set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people." That's redundant. "Because he has given his offspring to Molech, to defile my sanctuary and to profane my holy name. If the people of the land all hide their eyes from that person when he gives of his offspring to Molech, and don't put him to death, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all who play the prostitute after him to play the prostitute with Molech from among their people." When it mentions giving offspring to Molech, sacrificing to Molech, I've heard that this is a mistranslation, that Molech isn't a god, isn't a being of any kind, but rather is a type of offering. It's a type of like human offering or something like that. So don't give offspring in this way, whatever that means. The other thing here is that giving your offspring to Molech is the thing that's wrong. Giving your offspring or sacrificing children, we have yet to get a solid no to that. That is built into many of the verses, like you do give your children. You will offer them to Yahweh. They are Yahweh's. Your firstborns, for sure. That they belong to Yahweh. It's the who to or the what to or in what way that is the problem, and that it's not Yahweh. If it's Yahweh, it's fine. So that's just something to always keep in mind, unless we get somewhere that there's a verse that says, definitely don't kill children, even to Yahweh. There's no time to ever do sacrifices to Yahweh. That would be great to read that, but we haven't read that yet. The person that turns to those who are mediums and wizards and play the prostitute after them, I will even set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people. Okay. Now it's starting to sound like these people are just like sleeping with each other. Now I'm confused by this term prostitute. And I also don't know, like if you sleep with a medium, he's going to turn his face against that person and cut him off from his people. I'm not really sure what's happening there. "Sanctify yourself, therefore, and be holy, for I am Yahweh your God. You shall keep my statutes and do them. I am Yahweh who sanctifies you." What does sanctify mean? I make you holy. Yeah, but what does holy mean? I don't know. It's just words. For everyone who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother. His blood shall be upon himself. And Jesus will reiterate that as well. That's normal stuff. What does cursing mean? That's a good question. That's an excellent question to ask yourself when it comes to Bible. What does cursing mean? Noah cursed Canaan for what Ham did. That curse seems to have continued on to where the Hebrews are going to go and genocide them. That's what cursing is. It seems magical. It seems like some sort of a hex or a spell. But then we learn about mediums and wizards and things that you'd think hexes and spells and those types of things would fall under wizard. You wouldn't think that you would be able to do curses. So do you see what I'm saying? There's kind of like this double magic thing going on. You have your Yahweh thing, which I guess because I was raised Christian, I think that is the real supernatural power. And then all the other things are like the dark arts. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe the curse is part of the dark arts. So you can't curse your father and your mother. This is like an evil use of power, but it will work, by the way. You can do it. The curses are a real thing. A person can curse another person and it will come true. Like that's the part I think that I find very silly. The man who commits adultery with another man's wife, even he who commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. This is good because it helps us understand what adultery is, right? A man who commits adultery with another man's wife. So sleeping with a woman isn't adultery, obviously. A man who sleeps with a woman and he's married is probably not going to be adultery because a man can have many wives. But a man who sleeps with another man's wife, then that man is an adulterer because she was married, and then we have an adulteress. They're both going to be put to death. But the man who sleeps with 18 women and owns them, he's not committing adultery. Like, you can sleep with as many women as you like as men. But what we don't need to worry about in this day and age is if I'm married to a woman, biblically speaking, I can go and sleep with another woman. That's going to be fine as long as she's not married. I can't commit adultery. I can only commit adultery if the woman is married. That's what this verse is saying. And we might find that they give us another verse that changes that. But that seems to be the situation. The man who lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon themselves. Okay, so we're kind of reiterating just like 2 chapters prior. Why? If a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have committed a perversion. Their blood shall be upon themselves. These are the laws that we've seen in Leviticus 18, but now we get the consequence. That's what we didn't get back then. The consequence here is death, of course. But if I were to argue that if the daughter marries the son and they're fully grown adults, and then the son is a piece of garbage and he's like horrible to her, and so they break up, but she had like met the dad and they had a good rapport, and then years later they seem to meet each other again and hit it off and have a relationship with each other. Do we actually think that is something that somebody should be killed for? Or would you argue that, that is actually not completely outside of the realm of something that would be generally fine? I'm saying there's an innocent way that 2 people could come together that we didn't see that coming. That's a little bit okay. But I still don't think we should put them to death. Even though our initial reaction to some of these things would be, ooh, that's not good. So we still don't want them put to death, but we can still go, okay, that's a fine law. This law shouldn't be a law. Like, this is just something that, like, if this kind of thing happens, Depends on the situation. It may be something that was fine, and it may be something that there was some like questionable behavior going on, but certainly not something for a law, and nobody should be put to death. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon themselves. So now it's disgusting and heinous and bigoted. Somebody's sexual orientation shouldn't be coming into question at all. Like that is just, heinous bigotry. It seems more horrible and aggressive because of this is just who somebody is. Like this is how they are born, right? If a man takes a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. You shall be burned with fire, both he and they, that there may be no wickedness among you. This is so bad, we're setting you on fire. So that's very dramatic. You're going to be set on fire. And I get it. Like, again, that feels weird. But yeah, not worth burning. I wouldn't recommend it. You go, what is happening with Paul? He married a woman, and then he also started hooking up with the mom. That's shady. Not, that guy should be burned at the stake. Like nobody would ever say that. If a man lies with an animal, he shall surely be put to death, and you shall kill the animal. Darn it. The animal's like, what did I do? You were sexy. You were a sexy, sexy goat. Look at those horns. And you know what you did. Oral. Goats do oral. Imagine we learned that a goat was the best at giving oral, that there was a particular goat that was the goat of oral sex. But anyway, they have short-term memory loss. They might not remember it. They could probably still live a fine life, but okay. If a man approaches any animal and lies with it, you shall kill the woman and the animal. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Everyone is going to be put to death. That's the one thing about it. I mean, not a lot of people are sleeping with animals. That's not what I'm saying. Everyone's sleeping with animals. But there's so many reasons here why we're putting people to death. It's like, who makes it out alive? People who just like sit like this and don't do anything, especially not on a Sabbath. What are you doing? Don't talk to me. I might sleep with you and be put to death. If a man takes his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, it is a shameful thing. Do her from behind? They shall be cut off in the sight of the children of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He shall bear his iniquity. Nobody here is going to support incest. But it's nice. This actually is a nice law because it's like, okay, you guys do that, you'll be cut off. And I don't want to complain about everything. I don't want to be so anti everything in the Bible and go, you guys always get it wrong. But like we're cutting off for something that like we know is like big time bad, straight up incest. Same bloodline, same blood. By the way, something that seems to have happened in the Bible. I mean, Abraham claims that Sarai is his half sister. I guess maybe that's why they're not killing them. But wait a second here, though. The story of Tamar and Judah. Tamar slept with and then he was killed by God. And then Onan, and then he pulled out and he was killed by God. And she was supposed to sleep with the third brother. And then Judah's like, no, that's not going to happen. So she made sure to facilitate a thing. She prostituted herself and slept with Judah. Then she was like, no, you were the one that I slept with. And he was like, oh, you got me. Well, all's well that ends well. But both of them shall surely be put to death. Like, why didn't Yahweh speak up? I know nobody mentioned the laws yet, but did Yahweh not have them in the back of his head? Why didn't he step in? Because just to remind you, he killed We don't know why. He just like, boom, gone. He killed Onan. Boom, gone. Judah does it, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I didn't notice. What happened? Sorry, who did what? Look, I didn't see it, so I'm just not going to get involved. It sounds like a double standard, because here we're going to learn that Judah did something that 100% he should surely be put to death for it. He's committed a perversion. What happened, God? Why did you drop the ball? If a man lies with a woman having her monthly period and uncovers her nakedness, he has made her fountain naked, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood. Oh, that's an interesting way of wording it. Both of them shall be cut off from their people. That's just for that? This sucks for women because I don't know if I can't speak for every woman, but I've been told that they're really interested in this during that time. Like, this is the other thing, that God is a real scamp sometimes, He can be a real tease. He's like, listen, if you guys do this thing that I will make you want during the time that you have it. Some people are probably cramping, they don't feel that good. But some people are just like, get really horny during their periods. And he's like, oh, let's make that happen. And then say, if you do that, you're going to be cut off. Why? Because I'm squeamish around very particular types of blood. I love other kinds of blood. Well, what makes you squeamish around this kind of blood? I hate women. What kind of question is that? It's because I hate them. It's because I've made them to hate them. Read the book. Read the book, guys. Don't ask questions. Why would I not like that? I hate women. I am Yahweh. I am God, We hear you loud and clear, Yah. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for he has made his close relative naked. They shall bear their iniquity. If a man lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They shall bear their sin. They shall die childless. Ooh, there are worse things to die. I'll likely die childless, and I'm okay with it. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is an impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall die childless. If your brother has passed away, then you should take his wife, according to the and Onan story. Should have mentioned that, a little bit of a caveat in there, but we just get that through context. And actually, no, God commanded that to happen. So that is a contradiction, unless we can find somewhere in the book that says, if your brother dies, you should take his wife. I'm going to write that down as a contradiction. So unless there's another verse later that will fix that. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my ordinances and do them, that the land where I am bringing you to dwell may not vomit you out. You shall not walk in the customs of the nation which I am casting out before you, for they did all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess it, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yahweh your God, who has separated you from the peoples. I like that verse because it highlights how God is a God of division. He's not a God of unity. He's not a God of bringing the world together. He's not a God of peace. He's a God of abhorring other people, not helping them at all, even though, again, in this chapter, and now I'm repeating myself, he shows us that his people have done all or a lot of the things that he hates and he abhors, and yet he has separated them regardless, right? But it's these other people who the people writing this book just so happen to want to go and take their land, and they're the enemies in these stories that are just really, really bad when they do it. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you think of it as a God who loves everyone in the world and this is all of his creation, et cetera, et cetera. This doesn't make sense. You shall therefore make a distinction between the clean animals and the unclean, and between the unclean fowl and the clean. You shall not make yourselves abominable by animal or by bird or by anything with which the ground teems, which I have separated from you as unclean for you. You shall be holy to me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and I have set you apart from these peoples. that you should be mine. We have not been talking about animals this whole chapter, so why are we suddenly... I wonder if this could be organized better in like better chapters. I wonder if you could just like move a few things around. Did they just find scraps of scrolls or something and they just like put them together in some sort of strange order that doesn't mean anything? Because this definitely seems to be something that should be in like 13 or 14 or 15 or whatever it was that mentioned all the unclean animal. 11. A man or a woman that is a medium or is a wizard shall surely be put to death. Yeah, we already got that. They shall be stoned with stones. Their blood shall be upon themselves. That's just a weird sort of like, move that one up. Like we can get that to whatever. So we get it. We don't like wizards, but this is definitely like a Lord of the Rings sort of land of cursing and wizards and mediums and gods and other gods and, you know, whatever. It's all wacky and wild and wonderful and not really wonderful, but you know what I mean? And they're fun fairy tales if it weren't for all the bigotry and hate. But anyway, guys, that's Leviticus chapter 20, and what a thrill it was indeed. Can't wait for more. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe, like the video, comment on it, and we will see you next time. Bye. I want to rewrite Footprints in the Sand. The footprints in the sand were really, when it was only one set of footprints, it was because God doesn't exist. It's because we were standing up and that was the other punchline that we were doing where God holds us. I gotta go to bed. All right, so listen.